Do the nations rage and the peoples meditate.
So I have some really interesting information now. So now the question becomes the tradition of the church, the tradition of how do we know you guys didn't just you wrote that hadith, you wrote that Quran verse, you didn't, you wrote this church history. These are accretions. You didn't really actually, these are not historical documents because they're ad hoc. They come so much later. You don't have any actual proof other than what you say these people wrote. Actually, in 1933, the Jews actually, I believe it was in eastern Syria near the Euphrates, they actually excavated a town, and it's called Dura-Europos because of the two places in which it was positioned. And in this town, they found a temple. Let's read about this temple. So this is from the ANU Museum of the Jewish People. They're actually in the Middle East. I believe they're in Syria right now. This is the person over I believe he's over the program. And he writes, when archaeologists uncovered this wall, it's the wall behind him, if you guys can see in the picture here, at first they thought this was actually, and this is quoted verbatim, and I'm going to show the video as well, so you guys don't think I'm making this up. At first they thought this was actually an ancient church, but as they excavated and went down and down, they saw more and more menorahs. So the menorahs are these things right here, in the bottom right, until they came to this place, and he points at the image on the wall. That's when they realized that this was not part of an ancient church. Was not part of an ancient church, but was a Jewish synagogue. Now, what's interesting is, and I'm going to see if I can pull this up really quick. Can I share? Do you guys see this?
Yes.
Perfect.
Now let's see if the sound works. Just to make sure.
Oops. Let me go back.
I got it muted though.
The Persian Empire.
There we go.
You hear the sound?
Yep.
Okay. So guys, watch this video and listen to what he says. This is fascinating stuff.
Now, when archaeologists uncovered this wall, at first they thought this was actually an ancient church. But as they excavated, it went down and down and down and down. They saw more and more menorahs until they came to this place. Once the archaeologists got to this alcove, they saw the menorah, the temple, and this illustration of the binding of Isaac. Not only are these Jewish symbols here, but this alcove is also set for the Jewish scripture, for the Torah scroll. And that's when they realized that this wall is actually not part of an ancient church, but a Jewish synagogue.
Now, guys, this ancient church, guess what year it would have been destroyed, or it really the concave fell on it, and it was preserved because of that. But can anybody guess what century this was? Anybody know?
Second.
It was like early 3rd century, late 2nd century, or like mid 2nd century. I'm sorry, I believe it was. And I'll actually, let me see if I can pull this back up. Can you guys see this now?
Yep.
Okay. So notice we have archaeological evidence from the early to 2nd century, and I'm going to actually show you. So this is the upper right portion of the western wall within that synagogue. If you look at it, it looks just like an Orthodox church.
Yeah.
And this is a Jewish synagogue from like the middle of the 2nd century, proving that the churches at that time, and there actually was a church in that same area, because the Jews were, the early Christians were Jews. It's just a continuation of Judaism. This right here is the current view of the reconstructed synagogue in the National Museum of Damascus. So it's the same thing. They just reconstructed what they were able to based on it. And guys, this looks just like an Orthodox church.
It's like the iconostasis with going into the altar. Yeah.
Yes. Like this is not. So there's an excerpt from their website, and I just wanted to read it. And it says, despite Duro's destruction in the Sasanian Persians by the Sasanian Persians in 256 CE. So this is the, what is that, mid 3rd century?
Yeah, mid 3rd century.
Yeah. And the city's subsequent abandonment, the synagogue, like the Christian house church in Mithraeum nearby. So there was a church near this synagogue. survived almost perfectly, preserved due to the fortification of the city walls, which involved filling in structures with sand and rubble. It says the synagogue was dismantled and reassembled in the National Museum of Damascus, where it continues to serve as one of the most important examples of Jewish religious architecture and art. This chapter aims to introduce the reader to the history, architecture, and iconography of the Dura-Europos synagogue, focusing particularly on its wall paintings. These will be examined both as individual visual narratives and as a unified theological and artistic program. What emerges is a vision of a Jewish community deeply rooted in biblical tradition, yet fully engaged with its Hellenistic Roman surroundings. Dura was besieged and captured by the Scythian Persians in 256 CE, after which it was abandoned and never rebuilt. Its sudden disappearance from history contributed to the exceptional preservation of its remains. Ironically, it is thanks to this, that its fall, that the synagogue and other structures survived as a unique time capsule of late antique religious and visual culture. So we have the writings from the church. We have actual archaeological evidence proving that what Christians were doing during this time wasn't just something that Christians innovated. It wasn't ad hoc. The Jews were doing it also. This was before Nicaea. I mean, it's blatant. It's pretty clear.
And the peoples meditate on vain things.